You are about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating talk radio. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Doctor, tell me true. What's a heart like mine supposed to do?
All right, we are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. Quick update on Senator Mitch McConnell. Republican senator from Kentucky has announced that he is leaving rehab to return home. We were told that he was in Washington today, but according to Politico, McConnell thanked the medical staff who helped him during the stay and said he will not be returning to Washington just yet. So we were told by one news outlet that he was in Washington, but not going to vote today. And then this outlet says, nope, he's not in Washington. But he says, on the advice of my doctors, I'll maintain an intensive regimen of physical therapy from home during the state work period. And I'll continue to engage with my staff and colleagues on important Senate business. As you remember, the 84-year-old senator was rushed to the hospital on June 14th following a fall and what he described was a mild case of pneumonia. He told constituents that while he was briefly knocked unconscious, he did not suffer any broken bones, a stroke, nor a heart attack. The Senate is about to go on break, I believe a 5-week break. And there has been a lot of, and even though it's a very, very popular suggestion that we have voter ID, doesn't look like they're going to move on that, which is very, very frustrating. According to Senator John Thune, when he was interviewed, he wants to, he said that I've kind of stacked these things, funding the government, the Todd Blanche nomination, and the 74 nominations. Russia sanctions, nil market structure, and just, bringing a bunch of things up. And you could tell that that reporters are like, okay, what's happening with the SAVE Act? If you guys leave for 5 weeks and you don't address the SAVE Act, then what happens with the upcoming election? And Senator John Thune has not been a fan of breaking the filibuster and just doing the majority. Having, I believe they have enough Republicans to pass it, but they don't have Democrats that'll pass it. And so, I had originally been a fan of the bipartisanship on big issues. Nobody should make Puerto Rico a state or DC a state without there being the United States behind it. Republicans and Democrats. So I've always been a fan of ensuring that there's bipartisan, or a decent majority of the Senate. The problem is we have now had Democrats say they are going to break the filibuster to get things done. They have already justified doing it. And there have been many that have already been caught on record saying that. And so let me see. I think we have Senator, I apologize. I'm having so many stupid pop-ups pop up on my screen. Senator Maria Cantwell, a Democratic from Washington, said, when we wanted the Voting Rights Act passed, I was willing to do it. It depends on constitutional issues. If there are people that are overriding the Constitution and not following the Constitution, that would be an area where I would think about eliminating the filibuster. So they're already setting up where they're going to make an argument that they're going to have to overthrow that checks and balance system in the name of constitutionality and protecting the country. Even though I think a hallmark foundation of that is integrity with elections. And so if the Republicans are like, well, we're not going to go there because then the Democrats can, I think the Democrats are going to anyway. And at first, that wasn't my thought. My thought process was, try and get this done, or come up with the reconciliation process or put in the budget bill, do what you can. But it's not going to happen. And, Trump had said, look, the Democrats are going to do it. So, Trump's going to be out of office in a couple years. And who knows how many years he has left on this great earth. But, he wanted to ensure that nobody could cheat. And that our elections mirrored other democratic country elections. If you look at other countries, you have to actually apply for a proxy mail-in ballot. That mail-in ballot then voids your going in. There's a reason why you have the mail-in ballot, and it's then only one ballot specifically mailed to you. None of this mass mailings where you see stuff floating around the neighborhood. I mean, it's other countries do voter ID. Why can't we mirror other countries to ensure that we have, ethical? And by the way, this isn't just to protect Republicans, or it's to protect Democrats too. If you have a means where somebody could screw around with mail-in ballots, or you have a means where people can vote twice, or not use voter ID, that's frightening. So you want to ensure no matter what, because trust me, you might think that you're on the side that's going to be protected. It'll always switch. It'll always change. And look at how the Democrats now feel over-encumbered by the Democratic Socialists. So, then now you're hearing some, Democrats like, wait a second, is anybody cheating? So I don't understand why this isn't something that's bipartisan and isn't passing with 60 senators. But here we are with the last day before the Senate goes on recess, and I don't think they're going to move on that. Yeah, I know they want to, they want to put through the Todd Blanchard, and I get it. They have a lot of things to do. I get that. But if they don't act on this now and then they go away for 5 weeks, then no, you're not going to have election integrity by the midterms. And the Supreme Court was unable to ensure, voter ID and other things because and election day being election day, because that has to be done by Congress. The House did their part. The House passed it. It's up to the Senate. And I understand and appreciate what John Thune is saying. I get that. But I don't believe, and maybe this is my naivety, that if they do everything they can to not break the filibuster, the Democrats won't be able to. It doesn't ironclad it. If the Democrats win, they can very easily, say, okay, the Constitution's at stake, so we're going to do it. They've already said, they've already justified, they've already on record said they would. Which means we have to ensure that we have similar elections to other democratic nations around the country, around the world, that, ensure that people can't cheat, that you can't vote twice, that somebody can't take your mail-in ballot. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
Hi, it's Mark Falter, host of the Financial Fitness Show. I strongly believe that no one should ever pay 1 penny more in taxes than they are legally obligated. Unfortunately, for most hardworking Americans, this just isn't the case. Why? Because most people spend more time planning next weekend's getaway than trying to ensure they're going to pay less in taxes. My financial fitness team has put together some materials that I know are going to help you. It's the Tax Savings Kit. Tax Savings Kit includes 3 things: free tax analysis, top 10 ways to pay less in taxes, and an investor's guide to taxes. Now, how do you get it? Simple. 866-764-2635. Again, 866-764-2635. I'm Mark Falter. This is Financial Fitness, making personal finance profitable.
We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. 1-877 Doc Dahlia, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So you keep hearing from the Democratic Socialists of America that they want healthcare for all, Medicare for all. All right, you're going to hear them say less healthcare for all, but Medicare for all, because the healthcare for all is just too generic. And so they think it's going to be a better catch if they use something that already we have a working system of Medicare. And so the push for Medicare for all is going to be a big soundbite you're going to hear before this, the midterms and then the next election. And so as a physician, I have been very, very frustrated with the current healthcare system. Our current healthcare system sucks. This is not working. Doesn't mean to go to a socialized system. Okay, that's even going to be worse. But I have enough objectivity in this. This isn't Democrat or Republican. This isn't, well, the doctors want to save their jobs and they want to save their working hours. I'll be honest with you. Okay. We have a system that really, really sucks. Ever since 2009, our deductibles skyrocketed. Our copays are ridiculous. The insurance companies didn't want people going to urgent cares and ERs, so they made the copays to go to urgent cares and ERs more expensive. Individuals who aren't, paying taxes or paying into the system are able to use healthcare for free, which I support because I want everybody to be able to survive and get the care they need. But there's no responsibility to pay the bills. Hospitals aren't getting paid. Hospitals are going under and closing. Maternity wards closing. So the system is a mess because if nobody's paying their bills, you're not going to be able to keep the hospital or the medical center afloat. If nobody's paying the doctors aren't going to work. If nobody's training the medical students, if nobody's training the residents, where does the money come from? So we have already started to build this system where it's all on the government funding. The government dollars are being, though, mismanaged. And I'm not saying mismanaged just by fraud. There's a lot of fraud. But rather than the patients having the power of the purse, we're currently under the Affordable Care Act, the money will go to the insurance companies. So if you have a $1,100 a month premium, rather than you getting the money from the government to help you pay for it, the government's like, look, whatever the insurance company charges, we'll help buy that down. So the insurance companies just keep jacking up their prices. And we're noticing that the insurance companies are covering less and less and less. Also adding to that is patients are demanding, and I don't blame them. They want $1,500 GLP drugs. Luckily, Trump got them down to $500, but still, $500 a month for a GLP drug is expensive. They want to cure their cancer. They want to cure their hepatitis. They want to manage their transitioning and the hormones. They want to keep their cardiac stents patent. And so there's a lot of demands now on healthcare. We aren't dying in our 40s and 50s or dying of cancer or polio, or we've been, thank God, being able to live till our 70s, 80s, 90s. We want to fight dementia. These things start to get expensive. So the socialists are looking at our very, very crappy healthcare system. And rather than them saying, look, the Affordable Care Act screwed things up, they're like, let's just not even talk about that. Let's just do Medicare for all. We have a Medicare system. Let's just tax people and expand it to everybody, which means no copays, no deductibles. Your prescriptions are covered. Everything is free. All right, so somebody listening to this who has, like I have, a very crappy health insurance plan. I think I have an $8,500 deductible, and that's the lowest it's been since Obamacare, by the way. All right, $8,500 deductible. So somebody, in my shoes would be like, not particular me, because I know the system, but somebody in my shoes might be like, you know what? Anything is better than this crap. Anything is better. Obamacare is not working. So then, fine. If private insurance is failing, Obamacare is failing, fine. Let's just put everybody on Medicare. Okay, well, how many of you are actually on Medicare? Or how many of you have a family member on Medicare? How has that been working out? So Medicare is, thank God we have it for our older individuals, but it is not a perfect system. Medicare has been so obstructive in terms of covering things that many doctors give up. Some say, you know what, I'm just going to write the generics. I'm not even going to try. A lot of patients pay for things out of pocket. Medicare doesn't cover your vision or your dental. There's a little bit of changes now with hearing aids. I think Biden and Trump had done something with hearing aids, but still. I would have to order a pre-op physical. A patient needed surgery. The surgeon wanted a pre-op physical. I would order the chest x-ray. Medicare wouldn't pay for the chest x-ray. So the patient's like, well, what do I do? I go, your surgeon needs the chest x-ray. I guess you're going to have to pay cash. Medicare patients have to get Medicare Advantage programs because their Medicare doesn't cover everything. So when you hear the Democratic Socialists of America say, oh yeah, Medicare for all, can you please interview some Medicare recipients first and let them chime in on what exactly they have to pay out of pocket? The donut hole, the where they still have medication costs, et cetera. Now the DSA says, well, they're going to make it better. They're not going to have the Medicare the way Medicare is now. They're going to make sure it covers everything. Well, if Medicare could cover everything, it would have already done so. I mean, people have been complaining about how crappy Medicare is. And there's just not the money. You have too many older individuals. And now that we have so many people on disability getting it as well, you don't have the money coming in to pay for everything. And one thing that is really killing the Medicare patient is the lack of home health and assisted living coverage. When you ask a Medicare patient, what do they want covered? They're like, okay, they want the good medicines, right? They want to know that they could get access to a doctor and not have to wait weeks or months. They want doctors to take Medicare because there's a lot of doctors out there saying, I'm out. No, they're not reimbursing. And the red tape is too high. And with all the fraud going out there, I don't want to be accused of fraud. I'm just not even going there. So when you ask the average Medicare patient, they're like, I can't find a doctor. My medicines that I really want, I can't get. It takes too long for me to get the tests I need. And they're not covering assisted living. So I keep hearing in the news, the socialists are like Medicare for all. And yeah, that's nice, but are you going to address what the average Medicare patient really wants? And they're not doing that. So if you decide to say, all right, everybody's going to now have an insurance policy where MRIs are paid for and CAT scans are paid for. This okay? All right, who's paying for that? Where is that money coming from? Well, it's going to come from your tax dollars. Well, who's working? How many people are working? I mean, 10, 15 years ago, only 50% of the country was actually paying tax. Is that less now? What percentage of the population is paying income tax? You're offering free housing, free health care, free. Who's working? You need people working to put money into the system. And I'm not seeing where that money is coming from. We keep hearing that Medicare is going to be defunct, that there's not going to be enough money for Medicare. And you now want to take not only the millions of people on it, but add 3, 4, 5 times the number of people on it. You need to explain where that money's coming from. Well, we are going to tax the rich. So Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, and they're all going to have to pay more. They don't have that. It's not. You're not going to get enough. out of their bank accounts. Even if they give you one more million, that 1 million is barely going to cover a street in your neighborhood. There's not enough money. So what's going to eventually happen is they're going to promise, and then people are going to be like, okay, great, when do I get to go to the doctor? You can't get in. Everybody wants to go and get seen. You can't get, there's only X amount of MRIs. It's not going to happen. So now you're sitting there for 6 months, 9 months, 10 months. Watch what's happening in England. All right? And then look at that tenfold. That's what's going to happen in America. 1-877-Doc-Dolly.
Looking for a gift that can actually help secure someone's future? It's Mark Falter's new book, Common Sense Income Strategies. It makes the perfect gift for that special someone in your life. Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using time-tested strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. To learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Secure your future with Common Sense Income Strategies by Mark Falter. Again, to learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635.
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877-Doc-Dolly, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So while the socialists are expecting, Meta and Zuckerberg to give millions of dollars for their socialist agenda, they're going to be they're going to have to wait in line because apparently Meta has been fined $567 million in the largest child safety ruling against social media, I believe, to date. This is being reported by BBC News. So a U.S. judge in New Mexico has ordered Meta to pay another, in addition to money that they have been sued for, $567 million for its failure to warn the public about dangers its platforms pose to children. Judge Brian Beachhead said the social media giant is a public nuisance akin to air pollution, and that it must put the money in a fund aimed at reducing future harms. Thursday's ruling adds the $567 million to the current $375 million in fines that Meta was already ordered to pay in the case. So now they have close to $942 billion to pay. Judge Beachhead compared Meta to a factory with advertising and content as its product and the psychological harm and sexual exploitation of children to be the pollution that must be abated. Now, Mark Zuckerberg, I don't believe, has made a statement, but a spokesperson for Meta, which owns and operates now Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, and Threads, said we disagree with the ruling and will appeal. We work hard to keep people safe on our platforms and have been transparent about the challenges of identifying and removing bad actors and harmful content. We remain confident in our record of protecting teens online and will continue to defend ourselves against claims that misrepresent the facts. So Meta is not just only dealing with that $942 million. They have thousands of lawsuits all over the United States. In addition to the New Mexico ruling, they lost a landmark case in L.A., which found it could be held liable for building addictive platforms. In its latest financial results, the social media giant posted $61 billion in revenue, actually up 28% on the same period a year ago. But they might have to change and pivot as they are being continually attacked and expected to pay. So, this is, I'm mixed on this. Okay. And part of the reason is where's the parents? where the hell are the parents? When the internet became very popular in the 90s, I remember going on there. I think I had Netscape, and you had the, the weird sounds, when you were logging in. And there was a couple I remember, I don't know what it was called, but there was a way where doctors could talk to each other. And I thought that was very, very cool. And then I remember some of my colleagues were going, oh my gosh, you could get porn online. And they were all excited about that. And, everybody was showing each other PersianKitty.com and all sorts of things. And I remember it was a little bit chaotic. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, I hope the parents know that this is going on and that, kids can access a computer. They can access computers at school. So I hope there's some safeguards. Now, who does the safeguards? Is it the school? Is it the computer company? Is it the platform that you're accessing? Is it the parents? But I remember thinking to myself in the 90s, this could be an issue with young kids. So I hope somebody is looking into this and somebody's addressing it. So Facebook comes out in 08, 09, roughly around then. And you had to be of a certain age, and it was basically the honor system. When's your birthday? And I was like, well, this kind of isn't enough. And then you saw that kids really started to jump on it. It wasn't just a grown-up thing, because kids were starting to have access to computers. See, I grew up where you didn't have a TV in your room. You had one television set in your apartment. You had one television. And then by, I guess, the 90s, I guess the kids were, able to access maybe 2 TVs in their house. Now there's a computer in the house. And then all of a sudden it transformed to everybody having a computer in the room, a TV access, whatever. And so, so for those of us who are more old school, thinking you actually have to come into the living room or kitchen space area so we could all see what you're doing. No, not happening. People have laptops. Now they have phones. And so, as always seems to happen, the infrastructure is never in place before the demand skyrockets. So demand soars, and we don't have any of the infrastructure or safeguards. Facebook and Meta do have a duty to ensure that criminals aren't on their platforms, that predators, that people aren't being abducted as a result of their product. There is that duty. And if there is liability in that, I support that. I'm mixed, though, on if a child got addicted to Facebook, why isn't there shared liability with the parents? So let's say a child starts to drink a lot of Jack Daniels. Does Jack Daniels get sued? No. They go after who sold the alcohol, and they go after the parents. Why are you letting your kids drink? Why aren't you supervising your kids? So these products out there that are marketed to adults, if of course there's proof that it's marketed to kids, they got something. Just like with Juul, if there was proof that there was marketing to kids, then they have something there. But if this is being marketed to adults and parents aren't controlling their kids, there's some shared responsibility there. And these social media platforms are an absolute mess, especially when I'm being told, like Twitter, the average accounts are bots. The average people responding to you are bots. These are ghost. These aren't real people. And you're interacting with fake entities. We do have to protect the kids. And if Twitter or X is aware, if Meta is aware, if Instagram is aware, then what they really need to do is get rid of the bots, get rid of the criminals, get rid of but if they don't have that ability to, then they need to make sure they have very strict standards. And not only for kids, but young adults and men and women. And I mean, there's older people getting scammed on these things. unless we just have to have a talking to America saying alcohol has risk, cigarettes have risks, drugs have risks, social media has risks. I mean, at some point, humans have to be smart enough or we're going to become extinct. Kids are innocent. We got to protect them. But, you know, these sites are just beyond. This is where people now, this is now the local pub. This is now people want community. People want to communicate with others. But now they're able to do it at home in their pajamas. They get to be whoever they want to be, put whatever avatar they want to be. They can pretend they don't even have to put makeup on or a bra on or shave. They can, you know, and it's inviting to a lot of people. But I hope the Democratic Socialists are kind of watching this, because as Big Pharma keeps getting sued for fentanyl, as Big Tech keeps getting sued for what's going on with social media, who are you expecting to pay for all your programs? Meta is a rich company. Now, SpaceX is a rich company. These are rich companies. But if you're thinking that these companies are going to be enough to pay for all the stupid things you're promising, think again, because they keep getting sued. 1-877 Doc Dolly.
Hi guys, Dr. Dahlia here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms. Whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping, addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdahlia.com. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. You know, we've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles, along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.
We're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877 Doc Dolly. So I don't own gold. I as an older individual, like middle age, everybody keeps saying the value of the dollar is going to crash, especially if the socialists take over. So you got to buy gold, got to, entrench in gold. And you see a lot of these commercials that are kind of targeting seniors, not scams per se. Some of these are legitimate. But they know that older individuals, right, are more into gold. Okay, now all my jewelry is costume jewelry. I've never owned fancy jewelry because I lose jewelry. In fact, my wedding ring that I have on now was not my original wedding ring. No, I didn't leave it at a dude's house. No, the reason why I don't have my wedding ring is because I fell down and tripped, and my fingers started to swell. And before I could make it to the ER, we had to cut off the ring. So I'm just a klutz. So and you know what? Costume jewelry's fine. I'm just not like that. I know there's a lot of individuals that are like, I really like the feel of gold. I really like the feel of diamonds. I like the feel of that money being in my bank account rather than being on my neck or finger. I've never been a big jewelry person. I'm just not. And also, I don't like to wear necklaces and things because I think it like gives me a rash. So you guys wonder why my husband is still with me? This is why. I don't shop. I don't ask for jewelry. He thinks he won the jackpot, so he's happy with me. He's happy. But there's a scam going on that's pretty scary. That ABC News says scammers are targeting seniors and stealing $100 million through these gold bar schemes. New York City Police Department's Financial Crimes Task Force is warning seniors about the scam. That involves gold bars. So it involves, apparently, a computer pop-up complaining to people from Microsoft that their computer is infected with the virus and they need to call a number to get it unlocked. After calling, the victims unwittingly give scammers access to their computer and bank accounts, prompting more fake calls from scammers, pretending to be from the U.S. Treasury Department or police themselves, requesting payment in the form of gold bars to protect their money. According to New York PD Financial Times Task Force Detective Emilio Gomez, in this process, the victims get coerced to provide remote access to their computers, allowing these perpetrators to gain control. When I'm in control, it means that they have access to your webcam, your printer, your audio, and your computer. NYPD, according to ABC News, says it's been investigating the case since May 2024, along with Homeland Security, the IRS, and police from other states, as this is a nationwide issue, not just targeting New York. And sometimes someone's going to come to your house. A courier may show up to your house to collect the gold bars while both parties talk on the phone to a scammer. They say they believe these people are based out of Asia, but they pretend to be based on U.S. soil. The callers give a code name or number, further convincing some victims that the gold bar handoff is legitimate. Usually older people are more savvy than this, but sadly, this is happening. So according to Sergeant Rashawn Vaughn with the NYPD Financial Crimes Task Force, we want as many victims to come forward as possible so we could try and eliminate this problem across the United States, not only including New York City. The amount of money they're getting from some of these victims is very, very staggering. $9 million on one shot, $5.8 million in another case. Police have recovered some gold bars during search warrant busts and are hoping to use the money from them to pay percentages of restitution to New York victims. So far, they believe there are hundreds of victims with losses exceeding $100 million. Experts say if you receive calls or computer messages like this, hang up, log off, and don't engage. I get pop-ups on my computer all the time that says I've been compromised. And I think I'm immune, or it's dull. I guess I have an immunity to it now because it's like my computers always say that. I have some antivirus or McAfee or I got something on the computer, and I just tell my husband, what do I do? He says, don't click it, don't click it, don't click it. And I'll click out, I'll click an X. But I mean, they just keep trying to hit me. But the scams that have gotten close to me, these guys are smart. It's where they try to hit you from the medical side. So there was I get this message and I don't answer my phone. My phone just always goes to voicemail because now I guess, here we are. Nobody talks or answers on the phone. So if any of my friends are actually calling, they're fake because everybody just texts each other now. In fact, I don't even call my friends anymore. They're like, because nobody answers the phone. So I'll just text and say, call me. I want to hear your voice. I want to know you're alive. So I get this voice message from an officer, and he gives his, I know, I'm like, ooh, I'm like, he sounds hot. Officer with a badge number saying that I failed to appear for an expert witness testimony for a judge's case. And I'm like, what? So I send a copy of the recording to my husband. And I go, I think this is fake. This doesn't sound right. So my husband listens to it, decides to call and go, oh, this is real. You need to call them back. Okay, well, if my husband says it's real, I'm thinking it's fake. Right? But my husband says it's real. So I'm a good wife. I'm going to do what my husband says. So I call, okay, if you want me to call the sexy officer, I'll call the sexy officer. Reluctantly, but if that's what you want me to do. So I call the cop, or I call who pretends to be a cop. And he says, yeah, there are 2 warrants for your arrest. And they read these 2 amounts, and they say you need to pay for this because you missed. And I go, I'm an expert witness. I've been an expert witness multiple times. Okay, usually the lawyer reaches out to you. They have you review the records. Where did the subpoena go to? And they listed an address that was very old. And I'm like, well, that absolutely makes no sense because anybody who knows me works with me. That doesn't make any sense. But then they kept pushing further. And I go, who's the judge? And the judge was a legitimate judge. I go, what's your badge number? What? And they go, yeah, well, you need to come to this address and you need to pay. And I go, well, let me just pay. I'll just send it to me in the mail, whatever. They go, no, you have to come down now because there's a warrant out for your arrest. And I'm like, for an expert witness? And I'm like, this just doesn't make sense. So finally I go, okay, you got the wrong doctor. This makes absolutely no sense. And I go, read to me who this person that is in such violation now of so many laws and I pay about $10,000 in fines to you. I have to be there in person, even though they gave the address of the precinct. I was like, what does it say? It says it is to Miss Dahlia Wax. I go, there you go. You're fake. Get the hell off my phone. No way would, if you're an expert witness as a doctor, would they have eluded you as a Mrs. So I tell my husband, I go, dude. He's like, but it sounded legit. I'm like, okay, you're not answering the phone ever. But this is what they do. I also get these calls saying, yeah, somebody's using your DEA and you are now in trouble because somebody's writing fentanyl all over the place. So I could pull up the records. There's no fentanyl being written. No one's using my DEA, but they keep calling and they give addresses and they use numbers that look legit, that connect to certain offices, but that's because they're able to manipulate the SEO, the search engine optimization. I'm sure a senior is getting very fatigued with all the times they get hit. But what's going to end up happening is everybody's going to think everything is fake. So when, the boy that cried wolf, when something finally really does happen and it's serious, nobody's going to believe him. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away.
Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.